Hi, everyone. Um, Again, I want to say thank you to anyone who's contributed. I'm trying to send personal notes telling you what I have paid for with your contributions. I do want to say thank you. And today I want to talk about the thing that I least expected. Um, so there were a couple things. In my last video, I talked about how hard it was to tell people. But today I want to talk about something that was unexpected because I've never heard it before. I learned about it a few years ago, but I never heard it before. And I think it's because we don't really talk about it, but I think it is one of the most devastating things about breast cancer for some women. And so, first of all, I want to announce that I had my genetic testing. That's another part of this. And there's enough in my cancer in my family that genetic testing was approved, and we did do it. And my genetic test came back negative. So I have hereditary cancer, not genetic. And that was a thing I learned about. About 75% of cancers are spontaneous. They have to do potentially with lifestyle, but sometimes it just happens. And then there are about 15 to 25% that are hereditary, like mine. And then there are about 5 to 10% that are genetic, that have a genetic anomaly. And that's what I was tested for. So I don't have the genetic anomaly. So, which is wonderful news because if I had had it, it would have meant that potentially my daughter and granddaughter might also opt to have mastectomies, and or have testing every 6 months rather than once a year. And also, it would have put my son at risk for certain types of cancers. So it was a lot on my shoulders. I was really worried about the results of that testing. And so I was very grateful that that came back negative, because that would have been an automatic potential for them that would have changed their lives dramatically. So my heart really goes out to those people that get the news that they have to now contact their entire family and let them know they might be at risk. So there is that happened. But the thing I want to talk about is the fact that I had my plastic surgery consult today. One of the things I didn't know about breast cancer is that when you have full mastectomies, like I'm having, you also lose your nipple. And so that's been a hard thing for me to say out loud in this whole process, because when I met with my cancer surgeon, she told me, you're going to lose it. I don't think you can keep it. And so I am not a person who identifies myself by my body parts anymore. I was. If I had had this diagnosis even 5 years ago, it would have been devastating. And it's devastating for a lot of women. Some women become actually suicidal because we have certain ideas of who we are by the way our bodies look. And if somebody loses a limb, or has something that affects their visual, their face or something, it's a thing that I couldn't comprehend the impact of until it happened to me. And luckily I'm a person who doesn't matter to as much, but I did have some decisions to make. So I have decided to have a double mastectomy. I have cancer. I have the six growths in one side, and I had one growth in the other, but that was a called a complicated cyst. So I didn't have to have a double mastectomy, but I didn't want to go back. I didn't want to have to go through this again. So I just said, take it all, please, just take it all. And then I had to decide, okay, am I going to lose both my nipples, or am I going to keep one? And what would that feel like? And am I worried about symmetry? And really, mostly, I worry about the way, the obvious change. But I had an interesting thing happen to me today, and I want to share this because this is what a journey can look like when it's not devastated by these conditions. So first of all, I want to put out that compassion and remind people, having breast cancer is about a lot more than just having cancer. It is about changing a woman and maybe how she defines herself. And so for me, I am going to have smaller breasts, and they do certain nipple reconstructions, and they're not perfect and they're not exactly the same, and but it was interesting. So today they were explaining all of that to me, and then the person who was talking to me said, yeah, so it won't have the different pigmentation, but we can do that. We can do a tattoo at the end. And all of a sudden I went, a tattoo. And I thought, I can go through this and I can get used to, like, things change. The way we look changes, and we sometimes need to get used to something's changed. I don't look the way I did 20 years ago. And those have been changes. Now some of them have been gradual, so I may not notice them, but there have been some big changes. I've, like, for me, over the last few months dealing with the oxygen issue, I've gained a lot of weight in the last few months, like an irrational amount, and it's shocking to me. I haven't weighed this much since not being pregnant before, and so when I look in the mirror, it doesn't feel like me. But but the interesting thing that happened is when she said that, all of a sudden this brilliant idea came to me that I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to have that reconstruction done. Instead, what I'm going to do is I happen to have two children and a grandchild that are amazing artists. All of them are just off the charts. Amazing artists. My granddaughter's already designed one tattoo for somebody, and so I am going to have them design a tattoo, and I am going to have my chest tattooed, because all of a sudden in that moment when I thought that, it was no longer like I was losing something. It's like I'll look in the mirror and be reminded of what I love most. And it's an exciting thing to be able to have that. So I took this moment that could have been emotionally devastating. I took this moment that could have been a disappointment, like a loss, and I'm not losing. I'm actually gaining. So I'm not even just breaking even. I'm going to have this representation on my body of who I love the most. And I've always thought about that, getting a second tattoo with my children and grandchild on it, because I remember from the first one that I always believed that the tattoo that I have would always be the world I was in. And it's not anymore. It's still very important to me. It still represents a deep part of my soul that was my transition, but it's not representative of who I am as an individual anymore. But my kids are, and I include my grandchild in that. I call all three my kids. And so now all of a sudden I'm going to have this art that they created on my body, and I don't think I'll miss what's not there. But I did want to talk about it because I just want to bring attention to it. I didn't know that. If I had known, I probably would have been more careful. I probably would have been checked sooner, and this might have been a lumpectomy instead of a mastectomy. I probably wouldn't have needed a lymph node biopsy at all. The early catch would have had more impact because I would have come to understand what I could lose. So I do want to bring that to people's attention. Get your lump. If you see a lump, get it checked. If it's just a cyst, that's better to find out than stage 2, possibly stage 3 cancer. Also, if your nipple is pulling in at all, that is a sign of cancer. So get it checked, because that's one of the later signs. And and realize that the person you know who's going through this is going through everything a person with cancer goes through, but they're also having their body altered, not by choice. They have to choose. It's choose the alteration, or not even choice. For me, on the one side, it's not choice. My whole breast is pulling in from the tumor. So I don't even get to say, oh well, it's a choice between life or having nipples. It's a choice. I don't have a choice. My body is changing, and it's a thing beyond our control. And if a person isn't as at peace as I am with these things that happen, they're going through something. There is an emotional toll. I've talked with my nurse navigator. That's the thing with cancer, is you get a nurse navigator, your own personal nurse, to walk through the process with you. And she's actually worked with people who have been suicidal. I mean, every doctor I talked to when I decided on the double mastectomy, they're like, that is a good idea. You're so smart. You're so smart. And the choices I'm making, they're like, you're so smart. But that's because I'm not attached. Some of us are. This is a body part that some women define themselves as a woman by it. And now it's not just gone in size. It's not just the insides that are gone, it's the outsides that are scarred. And there is so much pressure in the world about beauty, and whether you believe in it or not, doesn't matter. These women are going through that. And so that was the thing I wanted to bring attention to. And I knew it was important because I didn't know about it, like I said, until a few years ago, until I actually knew some breast cancer survivors. But also, I thought, well, I don't know about it because I don't know how much it's vocalized. And so I wanted to vocalize it. And I wanted to vocalize this process I'm going through, where I'm like, okay, I won't have nipples, but I'm going to have this tattoo that I can love myself when I look in the mirror at the end of cancer. And so I'm grateful. I'm grateful to the work I do, and that the innovative process of my mind. So that is what I'm going to share today. My surgery is in less than a week, and I'm going to continue to share more about the process. I was trying to do it chronologically, then I thought, that's silly, I don't have to. So I'm going to remember as much as I can. Like I said, I'm catching up on some of it. But I'm going to try and give you all the details I can. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. And if you can give, or if you can share, most of all, share. I want to get this out there to support women experiencing breast cancer, and to support families to understand what the person going through breast cancer is experiencing, what's happening to them, and to realize I am a person that has worked the past, well, probably the past 30 years, but definitively the past 5 years improving my brain function from the program I teach. And so I'm not reacting to this because of that training. However, I am still very aware that, like I said, 5 years ago, this would have devastated me. It would have been heartbreaking for me. So I just want to make sure I help people be aware of it, and understand that even if it's stage 2, even if I don't end up in chemo or radiation, this is still serious. It's still, there's some emotional tolls it takes on people. So be aware of that. Cancer affects a lot more than just cancer. And that's why we're survivors. We all like the word thrive better than survive, but the fact is it's a battleground, and we've been through something. And so it's good to acknowledge that. And it's okay to say, this is serious. It means something. So anyway, I'm going to let that be it for tonight. I hopefully will be able to check back in again maybe on Thursday with some more updates on what is happening. Wednesday or Thursday, I'll be going in for another COVID test because I could get the vaccine. They told me if you get the vaccine, just get it on the other side so it doesn't affect your lymph nodes. But I don't want to risk a lymph node not being read properly in my biopsy. So I have chosen to wait for the vaccine until after my surgery. But so hopefully in a couple weeks, I'll be able to start getting my vaccine, but I get to go in and get tested Wednesday or Thursday. I might be posting some other stuff. So anyway, I hope this is helping. If anyone else has anything they want to share, I'm happy to address things if you have any questions or anything. So I want to thank you for participating in this and sharing it. I really do appreciate it. Updates and all the videos I'm putting as updates on the GoFundMe. I'm also putting them on YouTube, and I made an IGTV series. The first video isn't in the series. I might add it towards the end or something. I don't know. I might add it before the next one. I don't know for sure. I'm going this one day at a time. So anyway, I'm going to go because now I'm just talking. So I hope everyone has an amazing night. And I will look forward to another follow-up and sharing with you because I feel you out there with me. Thank you.